I look over, here comes Dell. I'm like, oh
Right.
my gosh.
Did he truly believe like everything he was saying and preaching about the flat top?
He's a smart guy, so it's hard for me to really believe that.
I was risking leaving a very well-paying job running flat top to something that might not work.
I was working for Trevor at the same time I'm working for Dell.
But I don't know if the community as a whole really loved me. I was a black sheep. I was supporting and arguing on Dell's side. Both his boys crashed on flat tops really bad. There was no emotion. And I go, oh really? So what else have you lied to me about? I really did put it all on the table. What's up guys? Welcome back to another video. Today's video, we are doing a podcast with two of my favorite people. We've got Mike Wingard, who's been probably my best friend for the last like 7 years. Taught him how to fly way back. And we've got Colton, how do you say your last name? I don't want to say
Wanger.
Wanger.
Yeah.
I don't want to pronounce it wrong.
It's a weird.
Today's video is going to be fun, guys. We're sitting down for an hour, 2 hours. We didn't tell Mike 3 hours of just rambling on, talking about some things. We've got a handful of topics that we want to discuss. By no means is it some structured, crazy thing. It's going to be a sit-down powwow out here in our training field while it's dark. But we've got a fire, and I've got a heated vest, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Well,
the guy with the
where's
heated
ours?
vest. Yeah, where's ours? Oh.
Hey, I placed an order for a sample heated vest that says Backcountry on it. We will have some heated vests soon.
Oh, I like it.
I got you guys.
I like
Don't
it.
you worry.
Okay.
I got
All
some changes to make to
All
it.
right.
So,
That sounds good.
you know,
what's
the hard
that?
part is you only come in.
There's that pack of coyotes.
Oh yeah.
We might get jumped by a pack of
Oh, this is going to be
coyotes.
great. Yeah.
34 minutes in, 3 dudes attacked in a field.
Yeah.
Here comes the audience.
Oh, man. You know,
gonna be a
look,
good time.
I got a beef to pick with you, Colton.
Okay.
We're going to just jump right into it, okay?
Okay.
I'd love to film more podcasts, but somebody has a family in Idaho, and he likes to hang out with his wife versus just being in a field with us, filming podcasts all the time.
I know. Yeah.
I'm grateful. Thank you, Amy, for all the time that you give us, Colton. But, you know,
Yes,
we
we
could
should.
film some more podcasts.
A little more, just a smidge more.
Maybe we'll go for a couple more down at Salton. Maybe we'll get like a whole bunch of dudes together.
That would be fun.
It would be chaotic.
Yeah.
Get like a drunk Caleb.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look out.
Look out. Get you.
Get a
Just
big
like do a
bonfire.
yurt. Make a Backcountry PPG after hours podcast in the yurt. Mike's got this yurt. It's not a tent. It's a yurt.
It's a yurt.
Anyways, it's like 12 feet by 12 feet. It's a
Oh,
big
no,
old
it's bigger than
circle,
that. It's
but
24 feet, I think.
great. We'll blow up my ozone pylon. It is not 24 feet.
It's pretty big. That's about 24 feet around.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right. Okay.
I give it that.
Okay,
It's
all
pretty
right.
big.
We had some epic parties in
We'll
it.
just have a
Oh,
good
yeah.
yurt party,
We filled
dude.
it. We filled it.
And
Yeah.
we'll just pass the mic around, and everybody
yeah.
will just powwow.
Oh, that'd be great. And every 5 minutes, everybody does a shot. And I bet you by
Oh,
the
dude.
hour into this podcast, it's going to be like
Yeah.
slurring, backing up, rewinding. People are like, what did he say?
Well, let's start with like, how did you guys meet? How did you and
So Mike
Did you
tied me
meet?
up, threw me down the stairs, drug me into the back of a U-Haul van, a cheap one that didn't latch, so I almost fell out, but thankfully he duct taped me to the floor.
Yeah.
And just like that, we've been married ever since.
you guys do have an unusual relationship?
Everyone that comes through our training class
Definitely do.
asks us how long we've been married.
Yeah.
We
that.
bicker and argue like an old married couple.
Yeah.
But I think that's a sign of a good, healthy relationship.
Yeah, 'cause usually by the end of the 10 days, they realize we're ready for divorce. We're like, what? Your people are
Wins the,
talking to my
wins
people.
the wedding and wins the
Wins
divorce.
the wedding and wins
We're
the
not
divorce.
sure which one to ask.
Some of your
Well,
students need therapy after they leave. I think.
Yeah, they can fly great, but man,
Man, dude, they had to put up with Mike and
therapy
Trevor for
though,
10
they're
days.
definitely,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I met old Mike Wingard in October of 2018. You had signed up for beginner training with my beloved uncle, Dell Schanze, Super Dell. And you came down to Corpus Christi, Texas. It was me, Dell, Jordan? Was Jordan there? I don't think Jordan was there.
My first class.
But
I
then
know.
Tyler was there. We had
Tyler.
the big RV,
Yep.
and we had 12 students, including Mike.
Hmm.
And dude, that was probably, still to this day, the most memorable. And I probably say that line all the time. Don't tell the students, but every class is the best class. And that was probably the most memorable training class for me. Not only was I introduced to you, and we'll get your side of that story in a sec, but that was right after I had graduated high school. I had done a summer selling door-to-door pest control, and then that was the first class I stepped into where my uncle, thank you, Dell, for the opportunity, kind of handed me the reins of like, yo, you could grow in this business and you could do some stuff and you could start running these classes. And this was the start of doing that and helping them sell equipment and becoming a bigger role of the training classes. And I remember I did really well in his eyes, and he was so appreciative, and he would talk me up so much, and he boosted my confidence so much on the drive home. And I made like the first little chunk of money. It was only like a couple $1,000s, but I remember like going to the gas station, like I can fill my car up. And I was so excited about it. And I think the biggest thing from that class was that I met you, my beloved wife.
So,
Anyways, it was 2018.
That was
So it was
2018?
October of 2018. I graduated high school in June of 2018.
He's a fresh guy. Fresh guy.
Dude, I was such a young
Yep.
little kid.
Yep.
Such a young little kid. I mean,
Yeah.
I still am. What am I kidding? I feel old. I make the old man noises when I get up.
And you learned to fly at like 12 years old?
I did.
Yeah.
I learned to fly in August of 2012. I had just turned 13, not
Yeah.
12.
Let's get into that, because
Yeah.
I've heard like bits and pieces of your stories over the years and stuff, but I would love to hear like the whole story of your like background and like as much as you want to go into about like how it
Yeah, I
all started.
think
What led you to paramotoring? How did you even find out about it?
So we'll deep dive
Yeah.
my relationship with Dell, like we talked about, in a future podcast. So
Okay.
people have something to look forward to, and there'll be juice and excitement.
Okay.
And all the new drama too that I'm still up to date on. So
Yeah.
we'll go through that.
Guys, I know we said we weren't going to go down the rabbit hole of Dell and I's relationship. We do go down the rabbit hole. This is a future self. So just know anytime we say we don't, we do. Moving on.
Yeah.
But learning to fly, I mean, from a super young age, Dell started flying in 1998 or 99. I was born in 99, so it was before I was even born. My dad learned. He was my Dell's first student in probably 2000 or 2001. So from like a super young age, flying was a part of our life because
Yeah.
Dell loved it. Actually, Dell loved flying so much that he literally shut down a multi 8-figure-a-year business to just go paramotoring and build a paramotor company.
Wow.
And he just turned it off.
Yeah.
And so it was a big part of his life. And my dad, in the early years, it also was a big part of his life. He loved it and he flew a lot. And so my earliest memory of flying is probably in 2006. My dad took me to the point of the mountain and they put me in a harness and I wanted to fly so bad. And so a guy named Bill Heener, which was an old-timer paragliding guy.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah. He kited the glider while my dad held my legs. And I was like 5 feet off the
Awesome.
ground. And they just kited me in the sky for
Wow.
like what felt like hours, but was
Yeah.
probably like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And man, I never wanted to come down. I never wanted to stop. That was just such a deeply ingrained memory, if that's the right word, of my childhood. And then I was so young. I don't remember the conversations. I don't remember asking. I don't remember how it came up. But I was at the August of 2012 beginner class, and that was down in San Diego, Imperial Beach. And my dad came, Jordan, my cousin came, and Dell was there, obviously, and they taught me how to kite. And I was only there for 6 days because I had school. So I had to leave, and I circled back in Christmas. Dell scheduled a special class for Christmas, and he got 4 students. So it was a smaller class, and it was my dad's family, which at the time wasn't my mom. It was his stepmom, and then my Dell's family, and we all went down to San Diego, and I learned to kite again more for 6 more days, and then I didn't actually fly on that class until the 10th and final day. So it took me 16 days to learn how to fly.
Wow. Why was that?
I was 13.
Oh. Yeah.
You know, when you teach a kid a handful of things, 1, they got to weigh enough.
Yeah.
2, they got to have more skill. And 3, they have to have the judgment and decision making. And so from the instructor standpoint, you got to learn that you could trust the kid to perform well under a high stress physical environment. And that the kid's going to respond to your inputs, as that's an important thing. And that you can trust the kid to make good choices. And so that just took time. And Dell was super adamant about making sure we were really good. And so that's just how it rumbled. At least that's my perspective of it. And it could have been different in reality. Maybe we just had bad wind and Dell was like, sorry, we can't go today.
So had you ever flown at all before that? I mean, other than the little bit of
That's
kiting
tandem once.
with Dell?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know,
How-
big old S-trike, flat top S-trike.
Oh, yeah, I remember those.
And you know, funny enough, I live now in the field that he took off in.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He used to live in a town over here called American Fork, and it was all just farm fields. And now it's all just apartments. And I live in the apartments.
How ironic, right?
I know, dude. And
That's
I run
crazy.
past his house every day when I go for my daily runs or whatever. And I don't remember how old I was, man. I know have no memory of any of that, but it was on a big S trike and a U-turn black light. And I just remember him carving the trees at his house. And I was like, this is so rad. Yeah, so then, you know, I took 3 flights. My second flight was an engine out. And I remember being like terrified at the engine out in the moment. And then I was like, oh, it's fine. Just like glide down and land. And I was so small that I wasn't strong enough to hold myself from falling over with a flat top on my back
Yeah.
while inflating the wing. So my dad grabbed the prop, motor's on, but it was clutched, grabbed the prop and pulled me back and then turned me around and then let go and ran away.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
He's like, son, don't hit the throttle.
He's like, don't hit the throttle, boy, or you're going to hear about it later.
Oh.
And then every summer, I would go to both of his training classes. The summer of 13, I went probably twice. Summer of 14 was super memorable, and so on. Don't remember anything about summer of 13.
Would
I
you
made
help
it
or
go.
you wouldn't help?
I did in 2014.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did?
so 2014 is super memorable because I learned wing overs, I did a barrel roll, I did a tandem, and I started helping.
Oh, nice.
So what I will claim is my first time helping teach paramotoring is June of 2014, and there was a guy named Jordan, I believe was his name, a younger guy who I remember helping learn to kite for the very first time.
Nice.
And I bet I sucked so bad as an instructor.
I'd be
Because you
screaming
do what
at the
you do as your instructor did.
Yeah.
And so my initial phase of teaching paramotoring was to do it exactly like Dell, which is a very vocal, very intense, super fast pace. You learned from,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And maybe I wasn't that way. Nowadays, like there was a point in my progression of teaching where I decided that's not the right approach and I shifted. But I don't think that was in 2014.
Yeah.
But then in that same class, I did a tandem for the first time. I took Jordan and I took a student's daughter. All right. And I remember him looking at me like, hey, man, that's my daughter.
Be safe.
I'll be safe. Yeah. And then I did wing overs at a barrel roll and I did a sat, dude. And my dad told me before the class, he's like, no sats. Absolutely not. And he told Dell, like, no sats.
Yeah.
I did a sat, and I didn't tell my dad. Dell posted it on YouTube, and my dad was so mad. I was like, Dell, you have to take it down. Anyways, sats are just a stupid-ass trick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I don't remember 15, 16, 17, but, you know, come 18, then I was teaching. And I would go every summer, because I'd make money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he'd pay me, I don't know, $500 per class to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dell would always train down in Texas, right?
Well, he
Or-
trained in, I remember the other reason why June of 2014 was so memorable. We got thrown in Mexico jail.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Oh, duh. Gotta remember that.
Yeah.
So, you know, Dell in all his glory loves to make enemies.
Yeah.
And a competing school would teach just down the beach.
Mm.
Okay, hang on first. This is alleged. This is just our theory. And mind you, my theory is rooted in what Dell thought because I was so young at the time. It's whatever Dell said. And so Dell thinks the instructor down the beach called the Border Patrol on us.
Hmm.
And at the time, which was 2014, you had to have a visa if you were in Mexico for more than 6 days. We were only there for 4 days, so it really didn't apply. But they claimed that we had illegally immigrated into Mexico. We didn't have our visas. We didn't have our paperwork, blah, 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 blah. And they scooped up the whole class because one of the students threw everyone under the bus, which was dumb. And Dell and myself and Jordan, and we all got shipped to an immigration office in Tijuana. And all the adults got put in a cell, and the kids were in the lobby.
Oh my God.
So it was Dell, me, Jordan, because the adult for the kid as well.
Oh.
And then another kid and his dad were in the lobby. And dude, it was a long day. It was like 10 hours of sitting in that lobby. And I remember going to the bathroom and like you had to walk past all the cells and there's all these like really scary looking dudes and they walk you to the bathroom with a shotgun. I'm like 14. My dad was so mad. He was so mad at that.
But that was a little intimidating.
Yeah.
But I can say I was thrown in jail once. And a
Yeah,
Mexican
and
jail.
Mexicans.
I was never put in a cell though.
So why did they end up letting you out?
Well, they took us to the border and they just,
Oh.
we walked across, got McDonald's and then walked back, got our
Wow.
visa and then went. And then
Did they
put the cab.
confiscate any of your stuff?
No.
Wow.
It,
Huh.
you know, with Mexico stuff like that, you really don't know if it's just them trying to get some money out of you,
Yeah.
like shake you down, or
Yeah.
if it's real. And In that case, we didn't try to tip them or pay them off.
Right.
They showed up with armored vehicles at like 8 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, you were like, yep, what do you want us to do?
We'll follow your lead. You know, and so maybe we just needed to give them $1,000 and they would have left us alone, or 500 or whatever. And maybe they were real. We had to sign like a whole bunch of documents. For a period of time, I was like, maybe I'm not allowed in Mexico. Still don't know that, by the way.
Oh, you better check.
We're going to go to Baja this winter and show up at the border and I get thrown in jail.
Oh, that would just be
sorry, Mike,
great.
see you later.
We remember you.
We know who you
We
are.
know you are.
It's been 10 years.
As we're looking there, there'll be his poster on the
Dude,
back.
there's just
And
one
the back
picture on the
wall.
wall and it's me. Yeah, right, okay. But they took all my fingerprints, dude. They had me in their system.
So then, Mike, let's hear about your story. Like, how did you learn about paramotoring and what got you into it?
Well, it was 2018, and I think I was working in my garage at the time, and my kid came in with his phone, and he's like, look, Dad, you can buy a flying machine, you can put it in your car, you don't need a license for it. And I'm like, what? Started looking at it, and I watched the video, I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then I just hit call, and right there, and Dell answered the phone, and I started talking to him, and I signed up for the next class, and then I handed the phone back to my kid, and I'm like, guess what? I'm going to the next class. He's like, what the heck just happened? I'm like, I don't know what just happened. I don't know what I just did, but I did. So I just did a real spontaneous moment, and then I had a mechanical contracting business, and I just closed it down.
Your class might just be the worst weather class we've ever had in our paramotor training history.
It was pretty bad. Only one person flew.
He shouldn't have.
Yeah, and he really shouldn't.
He shouldn't have, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
It was really bad. It was super windy, rainy, and we actually had a lot of classes down in Texas get totally rained and blown out during hurricane season.
So, Mike, then did your son also learn to fly then?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't learn how to fly.
Wanted to get you into it?
Yeah. He just wanted to show it to me, and then he didn't realize I was just gonna jump the gun and do it. And then I just did it, and then I was like, but I didn't get to fly. So then I go, well, dang, I can't give up now.
Yeah.
So then I would go to the next class. So I went to the next class. and
April
then-
of 19.
Yep. And then I think I flew 10 times maybe on that class. And then I'm like, sweet, this is so cool. I'm gonna come down here every 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So I just closed my business down and I'd come again. And then I went down there, and the next time I think I got like 70 flights. And then after that, I was just like, I would just go down every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we couldn't get rid of him.
I couldn't get, and it was a struggle for me too, because I
No,
literally would have to like go to a Hertz rental, rent a truck,
Mm-hmm.
and then pray to God it had a hitch on the back to go show up, because you can't tow anything with it.
Right.
And so it was quite the hassle. And I'd get a truck, and then I'd put a little camper on it, and I'd tow it all the way down there.
Yeah.
Yep. And then started helping them train. And then I started working on the motors. And then they
The rest is
they
history.
eventually really couldn't get rid of me, and then offered me a position. And I was like, you know what?
Dude, you
I'm
said
gonna
yes
do it.
right away.
So I'm like, first I just closed my business down, and I tried to keep my house going for like a year, and lived here, went back and forth, tried to keep it working, but that was just ridiculous paying for a house and no one's there. In the wintertime in Michigan, you never know what's gonna happen. So eventually I'm like, all right, this is all working out pretty good, you know. I was building flat tops. So I just sold everything and then went full time, and then moved to the shop, and I was living in the shop, building paramotors every single day and going down and training, and it was all good.
Wow.
And then
Your best
boom,
buddy.
till it wasn't.
Well,
So-
got to elaborate a little bit more on Mike's
What?
story here. So I'll do the talking for you, Mr. Camera Shot.
Okay.
We hired Flat Top Paramotors, Dell, the real owner of it, myself, brought you on in December of 21. And then I left Flat Top and started Backcountry in July of 22. So 6 months later. Sorry about that. It
No,
wasn't
that's
part
true.
of the plan.
No, that,
Right? So
yeah,
we
yeah.
got to get a little
Yeah,
context.
yeah,
so we had
yeah.
a lot of
Thanks
really,
for that,
things were rocking and
heads up.
rolling. We were crushing it. We were
Crushing
selling
it.
a bunch of motors. I think in 2021 we sold 58 flat tops, which was Dell's like best year ever. And we were crushing it. So by all means, I was like, Mike, we're just going to continue to crush it. But then, I'll get into the story of that in another podcast. But July rolls around, I'm like, oh, sorry, Mike, I'm leaving. And then flat top dude just crashes. self-sabotage on Dell's part, just complications, whatever. And
Also, I was working for Trevor at the same time I'm working for Dell now. So now I'm playing both
Mike
sides.
Cameron,
There was some overlap.
I'm playing some both sides. Yeah, there's some overlap. So I'm playing both sides of the deck here. So I'm literally. Oh my God.
you're waking up here teaching paramotoring for 2
Yeah.
hours. Then you're
Yep.
driving to Dell's house, which was 15 minutes from here, building flat tops, then driving back and teaching paramotoring while freaking out Dell's going to find out.
Wow.
Yeah.
And during an adventure class, we go down to a different location, which we call LZ2. And we're out there teaching those guys. And who do we see flying?
I'm out here teaching
Dell
someone how to
never
kite.
flies.
I look over, here comes Dell. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Mike
I'm done.
runs into his trailer, dude.
Like a
climbs
hiding-
under the dog bed.
hiding
thinking
in
he's
the
gonna hide.
trailer, like he's not gonna notice whose trailer it is. I just look, I peek out the window, and what do I see him just coming by? I got a wingtip, just looking at me, man. I'm like, oh, that's it, Trevor. That's it, dude. I'm
That's
gonna go
it.
back, and I'm not gonna have a job. I'm gonna be working for you full time now. Congratulations, you got a new employee.
So
And
what ended up happening?
so we left, and then I went back to work, and it was like it never happened.
Really?
Was never said a word, nothing. How you doing? What you doing? Nothing. Like it never even took place. Because obviously, he didn't want to do the work, and if he got rid of me, then there's no one else to do the work.
Right.
And he probably he's a smart guy, so he's like, well,
And you were the only guy building flat tops
yeah,
at the time?
I was the only one building flat tops. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that kept rolling. So then I was like, well, shoot, I guess I got the green light. So kept doing it.
Kept doing it.
Kept doing it. And then
Until Flat Top really took a spill.
really took a spill.
I mean, I can elaborate on how it fell apart, and then I want your Christmas story too. Firstly, I was really holding Flat Top together for a lot of years because Dell had probably, you could say, just lost interest. He was always into, oh man, I'll just say it. He was always into young hot chicks, is what he said, right? And so in 2020, he met this girl on the beach who I actually took tandem, who then he started to have this little fling for, who he brought to our birthday party with his wife at my mom's house.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, he flew her to Utah.
I remember the flying to Utah, but I didn't know they go to your birthday.
Dude, they went to my birthday party. They were snuggling up on the couch. It was really weird. Anyways, so the analogy I use is once you eat one chip, it's a lot easier to eat a second. Well, Dell had the discipline to say no to wandering down that rabbit hole until then. And then many months later, the following year in March, and sorry to air all this laundry, they separated, and Dell didn't actually own flat top paramotors, and I won't say why, but it was logistics and complications. His ex-wife did, and she tried adamantly to get him to sign paperwork so there was split ownership, as there should have been in the divorce, but he never did, so she owned it. And at this point, since they had separated, Dell was then going to the Philippines. He was going to Thailand at the time. Now he goes to the Philippines, and he was chasing, in his words, young hot chicks. And so there was no care about paramotoring. He would fly back to the United States, straight to Texas, run the class, then fly back to the Philippines.
Yeah.
And so I was running the whole show for 2020, 2021, and 2022, managing all of it with his then ex-wife, who was very helpful, super key player in that, and I actually really enjoyed doing business with her. And I appreciate her in providing me an opportunity too. Anyways, so once I stepped out, well, Dell's 2 years disconnected from running the business.
Yeah.
He's not interested in running the business. He's interested in continuing his lifestyle in the Philippines. And financially, he was being supported through the business, but also he had started to create a scooter rental business, which I don't know how many scooters he had. I don't know how many he has now, but I guess it was enough for him to do his thing. And he came back to running the company for a very brief period of time. That was when like all the crazy hotel videos where he had like a Thailand girlfriend in the background, dancing or whatever.
Yeah.
But he had kind of put one of his boys in charge of it, and he just wasn't ready at the time to be running that to be trying to fill training slots. And it wasn't just running a school, and it wasn't just selling equipment, it was manufacturing. And with manufacturing, your cash flow management is super important, which means minimizing expenses, making sure you're not over-purchasing on inventory, and just all the things that go with that. And I had been doing that and managing it to my best ability. And then once I stepped out, there's this disconnection, and then there's no idea what to do. He sold stuff, but the money's gone, and where did it go? And we need to buy inventory, and now we can't deliver, and then all this stuff happens, and then he took a bunch of money that he shouldn't have taken in cash, and then there was an FBI investigation, and then he was fired, and then it all just fell apart. And Dell's ex-wife just wanted to be done, and still just wants to be done. She still has a bunch of inventory. And so then it was like, basically pick up the pieces. No, we're not selling any more things. Let's pick up the pieces. Well, Mike fell in the middle of that because it didn't just happen overnight. That was a 6 to 12 month process. And you were still working for him in the midst of me leaving and it all falling apart. And you can share your Christmas story. That was really lovely.
Yeah, that was like December the 21st.
21st?
Yeah, December 21st. I'm just working down in the shop, building paramotors, get a call. Hi, Mike. I'm like, hey. She's like, oh, no,
I called you.
You called me
So
first.
Trish called me, and she's like, hey,
That's what it was.
there's no money left. We can't keep paying Mike right now, really. And I need to tell Mike that this is his last week.
So
And
would you call me and say you got...
So she called me to see how should we approach this,
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like, I should be on the phone with you.
Okay, that's what
So
it was.
I called you and I said, Mike, you should sit
You should
down.
sit down. And I'm like, no, I'm okay. And
I
you're
know,
like, no, you should sit down. I'm like, okay.
And then she called. We had a 3-way phone call.
That's what it was.
It wasn't just that this is the last week that we're going to employ you, but a
It
whole
was like-
bunch of dudes are going to show up in a half
was like
hour
for-
and
for-
take
for one,
the
yeah.
whole inventory out of the basement.
Yeah, for one, it was like, Mike, I can only pay you till December 25th. I'm like, oh, okay, sweet. So I got four more days of pay. And she said, oh, by the way, they're going to be in a few minutes to grab some inventory. I'm like, okay, fine. And then all of a sudden, within 10 minutes, the door opens up and there's a line of like 10 people. And within 15 minutes, the shop is completely empty. And then they're all gone. I mean, I got a video of me like sitting there full shot working. And then within 20 minutes, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like crazy.
Empty.
Everything's empty except the chair. And I had a couple tools and a light. And I'm like, okay, well, man, I don't have to do that anymore. I mean, that was a positive look on it.
Yeah.
I don't have to rivet rivets anymore. After I did them all by hand for the most part. And then right at the end, I finally got an electric one. And then it all went downhill. Murphy's Law.
So what did you do then?
That was sucky.
So yeah, so then I was just like, I had to gather my oats then for a minute, and then I was just realizing at the time I had a girlfriend, and I ended up moving in with her, and moved to Vegas, and I lived with her, and then I would come back and train with Trevor,
Wow.
And then they
and then that separated, and
You've been
And
with me ever
he-
since.
yeah,
And then Dell ended up living full time in the Philippines, right? He moved there.
Yeah, he was already pretty much full-time in
Yeah.
the Philippines.
Yeah.
And he just stayed full-time in the Philippines.
Yeah.
He's still there. He comes
Yep.
back once a year, maybe.
Oh, he does.
Maybe.
I heard he wasn't allowed back in the U.S.
Oh, no, he's allowed back in the U.S.
Oh.
He's not allowed to sell anything in the U.S.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, yeah, that was probably one of the worst business experiences I've had, is having to make that phone call with because I felt partly responsible, because me leaving was the reason why that had happened. So sorry about that, Mike.
yeah, not really.
But it worked out better in the end.
Yeah,
It just was rough for a period of
It's
time.
more, it was definitely Dell Schanze.
Good old Super Dell.
Super Dale.
So like,
Booyah.
I've always been curious because he's like, does he truly believe, like when Flat Top and everything was in full swing and at its height, like, did he truly believe like everything he was saying and preaching about the flat
What do you
tops?
think, Mike?
I think, you know what, that's a really good question.
Good question.
That is a really good question, because he is he's a smart guy, so it's hard for me to really believe that he would think that. But when you talk to him, and once you're sipping his Kool-Aid for a while, he'll definitely make you think that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
I think he really did. In some ways and shapes, he did. Not the aspects of like
Like he
fear
just-
mongering and that part of it. I think it was done, but the part of him believing that he has the best paramotor out there,
Right.
I believe he believed.
But like as far like that, and then also just like the gliders, the Hoax Flex, and
Yeah,
like,
that
did
he
you think
just-
he
that's-
truly believed that?
I don't know about that, man. That one's tough. Oh gosh. Whew. I remember when I first moved here and I was at a gas station and I pulled up and some guy pulls up next to me, like, how you doing? And he sees a flat top in the back of the truck. He's like, oh, flat top, don't you? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, he goes, oh, that's cool, man. He goes, what do you fly? I was like, I fly a Dominator. He's like, of course you do.
Yeah.
And I just had to laugh.
Yeah.
He's some local guy, and he's probably like, sure, you won't get caught dead flying anything else.
Don't you touch
Because you'll die if you do.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
So I have an answer on that, and I've pondered this question a lot. Firstly, it's worthwhile to understand Dell lightly more. He's absolutely a cookie cutter narcissist, and I also think he's got a lot of tendencies of being a sociopath too, if not a psychopath. Well, that's just to give you a little bit more context on how his brain works, and moving on to if he actually believed it. For a long time, he full-heartedly believed every sentence. The only reason to this day I now slightly question it is because he would slip up ever so slightly.
In what way?
There'd be small holes in arguments where I was like, well, how does that align? I can't say I have an example.
Yeah.
But there was like a
there'd be no
moment I
answer.
remember where I'm like, that is slightly
Off.
where I'm like, And ultimately what led me to wandering down the rabbit hole of trying other equipment and learning for myself was because I poked holes in all his arguments. But the question isn't, whether the arguments are true. It's the question is, does he think they're true? Yeah. And I always believed, and I don't know if I do anymore, that Dell was extremely ethical and had very strong morals. He wasn't going to lie, but he was going to say he had to believe. Now, as I've gone further and further away from Dell, I don't know if I can say I full-heartedly believe that. I don't know if I can say I really have an answer, which is why
It's always the
your
best
response
whatever he
was-
sells, right? If it's a
Whatever
Menard,
he
it's the
sells,
best
it
motor. If it's a
switches so
it's a whatever he sells.
I remember
it's
the
best.
Vitarazi switch, right?
Yeah.
We flew Vitarazis. They were the best
They
until
were
they
the
cut
best.
them out.
Yeah, until they
cut him as a distributor.
Yeah.
and then all
And
of a sudden,
the Minari was the best. And the Vitarazi sucked,
terrible.
dude. It had all these problems.
terrible. All these problems.
So those are like a whole.
That's what threw me
right,
to.
where it's like, it's inconsistent. There's something off here.
Right.
And that's where, and Dell and I would have arguments too, where I would just challenge his thinking. And I wouldn't challenge his thinking because I didn't believe, because in order to be in that ecosystem, you had to believe it, really. And I believed up until 6-8 months before I left, everything. I believed all of it, the whole spiel. But I would challenge him, and then I would get to a point where there was no further argument on his side. The only thing he would say is, I'm right because I have more experience than you. Well, why? Why? What does that mean? Tell me. Answer the question. And he just didn't have the answer.
Why did you find yourself challenging him, or like?
I poked a hole.
Why were you trying to poke a hole?
I didn't.
You weren't.
I didn't try to poke a hole. I poked a big fat hole. Actually, he poked the hole. Do you remember why? There was two distinct
Was it
things.
the
First one is the fins. I made fins for the flat top to counteract torque steer.
Oh yeah.
And Dell adamantly said they wouldn't work. They're not going to work. They suck. They're not worth the time. Don't waste money. Blah, blah, blah. I think we funded it, like I did. And I had another kid who helped me. His name was Austin. Austin's great. Shout out Austin.
Yep.
And Austin handmade all of the fins.
Remember that.
And Dell had a 2-hour conversation with Austin,
Oh, I remember that. And I was
telling Austin they're not going to work.
yeah.
And then they worked. And then Dell flew it.
And then
And you know what
he
he said?
What?
I want the first set.
Yeah.
I knew they were going to work.
I knew they
the
were going to
whole
work the whole time.
And I go, oh, really? So what else have you lied to me about?
Yeah, open the
That
door,
was
didn't it?
That was the whole. And it wasn't, I wasn't trying to prove him wrong. Like I wasn't actively trying to disprove all his stuff. I believed it. I didn't need to. And he was my family, and he had given me so many great opportunities, and like life was really good working for a flat top in my shoes. Like we trained only 5 classes a year versus the 15 classes that we'll do here at Backcountry. So from a workload standpoint, it was a lot less, and I flew more and all that stuff. Anyways,
Do you need a pee, Mike?
Do you need to pee again, Sunshine?
I'm good.
We can take a
We could pause.
Let's take a pee break.
Okay.
2 minutes. That's all you get.
Okay.
Remember it.
We're back. Continue. Poking holes.
Poking holes. Sorry, guys. Camera pee break. But poking holes in Dell's arguments. That was. Oh snap! I broke my chair. So I didn't break it. I dismantled it. Anyways, the fin one was a big one, and that was just that was just like a opening of the door of like, okay, well, if you lied to me about this, and I so heartedly believe everything else, why wouldn't you be lying to me about everything else?
Mm-hmm.
And so I wandered down more rabbit holes. And I challenged all the ideas. One of them was I bought a Parajet. Actually, Dell bought a Parajet. And I was very hopeful he would never review it. And when I left, he did proceed to review it. But I bought a Parajet. And initially I flew it and I was like, it's fine. And I wasn't that impressed with it. But then I took the Parajet and a flat top to the field, and I flew them side to side, side to side, side to side, side to side, back and forth for like few hours or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, dang, they are so much better.
What did you real quick? What did you notice was better? What did you? What?
I mean, first off, it was a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
Second off, once you acclimated to the different posture on launched, landed way better, and landing posture. And then it counteracted torque steer amazingly, obviously, compared to a flat top, which doesn't counter torque at all.
Yeah.
And then it would track with the wing a lot better in carving. So with the flat top, because it was so wide and because your weight is moving back and forth, as you would go up, if your weight wasn't properly placed, you would lag, and that would lead to riser twist risk. Whereas a Parajet and MacFlies and all that stuff track a lot better.
Right.
Anyways, so then I was going to put swing arms on a flat top. Because I didn't buy the Parajet to be like, okay, well, screw flat top, I'm going to go, sell something else. No, it was like, how can I make the flat top better? So then I was like, I took the Parajet to the manufacturer of the flat top, which was up in Kaysville, Utah. And I was like, can you just put those on the swing arms on the flat top? He's like, yeah, just let me know when you want me to. I was like, great. And then I told Dell I was going to do that. And he got so pissed. Like, so pissed. He looked at me. He's like, do not do that. Absolutely not. And I was like, oh, man, I'm onto something. I'm onto something.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember how all the other things went. I know I talked to a lot of people about reflex. Obviously, that's like the big Dell thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have probably crumple zone conversations, and like everything else is gonna like kill you, which that was less of a engineering thing, and I could figure that out with my own brain. But the reflex, like I couldn't figure out with my own brain. So I talked to a lot of people, and I wandered down a lot of rabbit holes. Dimitri, actually, with Iris Paramotor, I had so many conversations with him. Shout out Dimitri. Huge thank you for like all the hours you spent talking to me about reflex.
Yeah.
And then I flew Judson's Viper 5 at Salton Sea, and I chased Dell down.
Oh, smart.
Because Dell was flying at the same time. I was mashing speed bar and chasing Dell and just blowing
remember
past
that.
him. I was like, you
Remember
are
that.
slow, and you keep lying to us about this Dominator being fast, and I know you are. Anyways, I was mad. I had reached a point where it was I would argue it was a cult. The flat top world was a cult. At least how deep we were in it. And it was like, okay, well, when you're exiting a cult, at least from my experience, there's an anger phase where you're mad. And in my spot, I was mad that my uncle, of all people, had lied to me about so many things for so long that I believed, that I regurgitated, that I pitched to people.
Right.
I was really mad about that.
Right.
I got drunk one night at Salton that year and rambled on to the point where Mike was like, dude, you gotta go or we're gonna lose our job.
Yeah.
And then I bought a Dudek Warp 1, and actually, no, I bought the Dudek Warp 1. Then Dell bought me a Piper 1 without realizing he bought me a Piper 1. I did pay for it, but he bought it originally. Flat Top bought it. And then it was just rabbit hole down, rabbit hole down, rabbit hole. And do you want to go into the story of how me leaving happened?
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard
well,
parts
Mike
of it, but
kidnapped me, tied me up, dragged me down a staircase, threw me in a U-Haul van, and said, "You're doing this." No, so I had reached out to Eric Farewell with Aviator, and I had asked if I could sell ozones. And he hit me back, and his answer was like, yes, but not Dell. Like, not with Dell.
yeah.
And then the conversation, and I don't remember how it all went, led to, well, let me come to Florida. And so I flew out to, without telling Dell, I flew out to Lake Wales, Florida, where Aviator is, and I spent 4 or 5 days out there. I got my PPG 1, because I didn't even have that. PPG 2, 3, and instructor rating with them, so thank you to them. I flew a bunch of stuff. I had sit-down meetings with him and the COO at the time of Aviator, Matt. Shout out Matt. Super appreciate everything Matt did for me too. And that was just them like, you a little anxious there, bud?
No, I'm good.
That was just them like helping. You wanna go?
Yeah, probably so. If you're good.
We're never
You guys
good.
are good.
We always appreciate more mic time.
I know, but
Go.
Yeah.
I need to
Go.
Do you need to go take care of your dog or
Just
whatever?
go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're
No
good.
All right, guys. Brief pause here. Mike is gonna exit, and then
Okay.
I will continue the conversation.
Let me pull that mic off you.
So we're
back.
back. Thanks, guys, for the brief intermission. When I do the Dell Conversation podcast, because this is talking a lot about Dell, more than I expected it to, I also should dissect his arguments.
Yeah.
That would be cool. So it'll be two-part. It'll be discussing the relationship and a few more nuances with Dell, and then just dissecting a handful of his arguments, because we're not doing that here.
Yeah.
Looping back, and sorry for this just becoming a Trevor rambling on.
No, it's fine. This is great. I've never heard the whole story.
Yeah. So I go to Aviator, right? I get those ratings, and Matt and Eric really wanted to help me leave. And I cannot express enough gratitude for them for not just the actual help they did, but the mindset and the encouragement and the reassurance of like, people believe in me.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was 22. I had only really worked for my uncle. I didn't have like a ton of money, and I just was like, I was risking leaving a very well-paying job running flat top,
Right.
doing what I love with my family, to something that might not work. Like
Yeah.
every business, you don't know if it's going to work. And, everybody from an outside perspective is like, of course it's going to work. You're going to slam dunk success. At least, quite a few people said that. And I'm like, well, you don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And anyway, so then I come back. I show Dell my US PPA certification. He was so mad. He threatened to fire me, actually. I was like, fire me, I guess. I'll make it easier.
Did he know you were going out to Florida?
No, he didn't.
Oh,
and
so that-
and the argument that I used with him was like, well, it's only beneficial to us for me to learn how others do it in the off chance there's something we can do better.
Right.
And of course, we'll deep dive this more, but Dell was so locked in Dell's way that he didn't believe there was room for improvement. So anyways, and then I get back and I'm furthering these conversations with Matt and Eric, and I don't remember exactly why they were so involved in it. I think part of the reason is they really wanted me to be an Aviator West Coast for them, and they knew I wasn't interested in that. But I think also they just were good people who wanted to help me.
Yeah.
And I remember the moment, man, where Matt said to me on the phone, he's like, well, what day are you leaving? Or what day are you starting Backcountry? And I was like, July 1st. It was just the first date that came to my mind. And I was like, well, I guess I'm starting Backcountry July 1st. There's no going back now.
Yeah.
And then it was like, great, well, let me put all the pieces in place. At the time, I had a camper, so I had to sell the camper. I had a motorcycle that I sold. I got rid of my dog, actually, bummer enough. But I knew I was going to be busy, and I needed time, and I needed to focus.
Mm-hmm.
And the dog wasn't really working out for our current lifestyle, me and the lady. And I say I sold everything. I liquidated all the stock I had. I liquidated all the crypto, which it wasn't a lot. It was enough to buy 3 paramotors, 3 flying wings, and 5 kiting wings.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was pretty bone dry. I was pretty drained.
Yeah.
And I had a little bit in reserve, like enough that I could survive the winter barely. But I was like, it's got to work.
Mm.
And it did. And we filled up our first class, which was August of 22, with 5 people, like fast.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the next class filled, and the next class filled, and then it just stopped. Like you can, if you look at the revenue numbers on a graph, it's like, we're doing good, we're doing it, and then boom. And then the winter of 22 going into 23, like nothing.
Oh, wow.
And thankfully, in the time of selling some training slots, I had put a bit away, but also I needed more stuff. So then I was in the process of slowly reinvesting into more things. So that was really, really tight winter. I remember buying like a couple of tools and walking out like, I don't know if I should have bought those.
Wow.
And my girlfriend worked, and she had a good paying job too. So it was like, okay, there's fallback, like it's gonna be okay. And I had committed to myself, like, okay, if it doesn't work, I'll get a job at Starbucks.
Yeah.
I like coffee. I'll learn how to make some coffee.
Yeah.
And it'll be a part-time day or a part-time thing where in the evenings I could still at least kind of paramotor train. And, you know, I made it. I survived. And going into spring of 23, things picked up quite a bit more. And we filled classes. And that's actually when I brought Judson on too, which was a big risk. And I appreciate Judson for all his hard work he gave us. Mm-hmm. And things just continue to grow. And fast forward from like being bone broke with 3 paramotors to like now we have 9 and like 40 something wings and like a lot and like a truck and a camper. It's all grown and it's really fun for me to now look back and be like, wow, you know, I really did put it all on the table.
Yeah.
And you know, hindsight, it's like, well, yeah, of course it was gonna work. No, it wasn't. I had under 2,000 YouTube subscribers. And I averaged 300 views a video. The community as a whole, can't say for sure, but I don't know if the community as a whole really loved me. I was a black sheep. I was supporting and arguing on Dell's side. And, you know, they were welcoming. I think they were less welcoming than they want to actually lead on, because fast forward to today and they're not very welcoming, but maybe that was something I did. I never knew. Anyways, and yeah, I'm just super grateful that this is my life and that it worked out, and I pay my duty tax every single day. I work my butt off, and I try to make the best pilots I can. And the training program we run now is night and day different from the training program we ran then. It's 100 times different than what Dell ran. We make such better students, and I'll deep dive that when we win our next podcast. But like, it's so different now from what it was, and I just can't imagine still being in that spot. Yeah. Can't imagine still working for Dell. I've had the ability to build relationships with different brands. We import ozone now, and I have a strong relationship with them. I'm super grateful for that. I'm really excited to be a part of the ozone ecosystem. And MacFly we've got a great relationship with the Mateos family, and I love their machines. And I'm just so excited to be in the spot that I am now. And I'm so grateful that I took the risks that I did take then.
Yeah. Looping back to like when you took that risk, like what was like, let me think of how I want to say this. Well, first off, how did you go about telling Dell about it? And like, what was that conversation like?
So we had done a training class down in Texas, and we were driving back. We'd all drive down together. We'd all drive back together. Mm-hmm. By we all, I guess I mean his boy, me, and him. Mm-hmm. Dell made it really easy, actually. And shout out Dell for unintentionally making this easy, because and this is terrible and super personal, so I won't go a super deep dive. But his son really wanted to understand why they divorced, and Dell refused to actually give any answers and was just being kind of mean, actually very mean and ruthless and vicious. And his boy was, you know, not taking it very well, and it was a really sad, terrible situation. I was trying to argue with Dell, like, dude, just give a logical answer. Like, I know the answer, you're just not telling it, because I weirdly fell super in the middle of the divorce and helped in the whole process because I was holding the business together. So I knew all of the things. And Dell and I had a really great relationship at the time, and I was probably his only quote-unquote friend. Not that a narcissist actually has friends, because that would indicate they have emotion. They don't. And so I knew all the nitty-gritty, and he just refused. He was just being an asshole, really. And I was really pissed at him. I was like, you know, I don't try not to cuss too much on video, but I was like, fuck you, Dell. Yeah. Be nice to your boy. Yeah. Like, give him an honest answer. He deserves it. Well, that happened. And then 2 hours later is when we were getting home from our 24-hour drive from Texas. And I was like, well, we didn't talk. It was silence, dude. It was so quiet. This boy was pissed, and I was pissed, and Dell was pissed. And we're getting off the highway, and I take my headphones off, and I look at Dell. And I look at Jordan. I'm like, Jordan, you should probably take your headphones off. Dell, I have something I got to tell you. And Dell goes, oh, great. Now what? I'm like, great. I'm really glad you're as excited as me. And I was like, I'm quitting. I don't remember the exact terms, but it was something along the lines of like, I'm putting my 2 weeks in. My last day will be July 1st.
Wow.
Or June 31st, technically. And then he proceeded to argue for a half hour how I was making the biggest mistake of my life. The best opportunity I might ever have was running this. I shouldn't do it. It's a huge mistake. Blah, 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 blah. And You know, in his defense, maybe he had true intention there. I don't know if I would say he had true intention there. I think he did up until I left. Actually, really, this is where it's hard because a narcissistic personality doesn't actually care.
Yeah.
Like, truly, there is an emotion to them. And it's hard because you don't know if there is a little bit there and there isn't a little bit there. And the reason I don't think there was any is because I got enough examples of situations where there would be some emotion present and there was no emotion present. Both his boys crashed on flat tops really bad. There was no emotion. He didn't care. The divorce, there was no emotion. He didn't care. And several other things where there was no emotion. So then that leads me to question, like, okay, well, how much did he actually care about me as an individual? I would like to think he did because he would do a lot for me and he genuinely cared about my best interests and really tried to give me opportunities, and I'm super grateful for that. But then at the same time, I'm a benefit to him. And that's a sociopathic tendency is you butter up the individuals whom are benefiting you, and as soon as they no longer benefit you, you have nothing to do with them.
Right.
And a bit of a narcissistic thing too. So
Right.
as soon as I no longer benefit him, then, you know, that changes. But he's obviously going to argue to try and keep me on. Not only am I making the business whole thing work, but then it means he's got to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm benefiting him, and he doesn't want me to stop benefiting him. And, you know, that's where it can get hard of, like, figuring out that line of emotion and whether there was anything. I don't think there was. And the reason I don't think there was is because he proceeded to do a similar thing to me, to his boys, as soon as they left and started working, years later when they started working for me.
Mm-hmm.
Where he turned on them, and then as soon as they started their own thing, which they recently did, and were selling Dominies, then he immediately came back, and it was like, it's not emotion. There's no emotion here.
Yeah.
Oh, he was so mean to, oh, dude. When the whole flat top thing was also falling apart, and his ex-wife had taken all of the inventory out, well, Dell got home from Thailand, walked into an empty house, unaware that all the stuff had been taken. And he proceeded to disown his son and tell him he's not my son anymore, and like all this stuff, and rip apart his daughter, and like just do tons of damage to the family right there. Wow. It was terrible, dude.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I don't feel any guilt, thankfully.
Yeah.
That's a choice. I've chosen not to feel any guilt because I don't think it's a situation which nurtures guilt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do feel bad for what ended up happening to Mike because I really care about Mike, and I feel bad for what happened to his boys. I really wish his boys had a great relationship with him.
Yeah. That's rough.
And I miss my uncle.
Yeah.
I don't miss
I'm
Super
sure.
Dell, right? But I miss the uncle that when I got dumped in 2019, took me to California to ride one wheels on the beach for a week.
Right.
And I miss the uncle that, you know, he had a great sense of humor and he had a great time, and we shared a lot of common interests, and we'd go ride motorcycles for hours on end, and like just so many things. Like I miss, I don't really as much anymore, but for a while I missed my uncle, and I'd love for that relationship to come back around. And honestly, you know what I think it would take for me to shut this down? If I shut this down, Backcountry, and I no longer do this, I think it'd be immediate, especially if I made some comment about how he was right.
Yeah.
You just lean into the ego.
Yeah.
And tickle his ego, and then you're more inclined to get what you want. With Dell, I learned, and this manipulation, I hate to admit it, but if you understand how his personality worked, it's exactly as you expect it to be. He's going to respond exactly as you expect him to respond. But like you can tickle the really big motives, which were ego and pride.
Mm-hmm.
And if you tickled the ego and pride, you were more likely to get what you wanted.
Yeah.
So I learned how to, and I never did it in ill intent for him. It was always in benefit of him, but sometimes he was so, you know, locked onto what he thought that it was like, okay, well, really, we can't do this. And if I can just like go ahead and do what you didn't want me to do, you're going to see that it's better, and then you'll tell me you knew it was right all along, and everything will be fine.
Yeah. Well, maybe let's just go to a little bit more into like the Backcountry PPG and how like you started that, and then like how is it going? Like what are new things that are coming to Backcountry PPG? I know you've got a bunch of new products on the horizon.
Yeah, Backcountry PPG. It is the business I always dreamed of creating. In fact, I found a journal of mine. I used to write a lot. Now, it wasn't like I wrote like my day was great because of this. It was like, here's my goals, and I would write my goals every day, and I would write what I achieved, and I've always been that kind of person where I'm really trying to reach in my life and do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You called me a workaholic earlier. I think that's very accurate. Anyways, I had written down in 2021 to build my own paramotor company or whatever. And there were some financial things tied to that I won't mention, but and I checked those boxes, and that was really cool to me, is to be able to check those boxes. And now, fast forward to today, it is a handful of things are really present. Number one is still a continued, very adamant improvement of training.
Yeah.
How can we make it better?
Yeah.
In any and every way, shape, and form. And that comes down to what I've been doing is notes. How are we doing? How do students respond to this approach? And it's testing new things. So recently I tested a handful of different ways of teaching people how to hook in. Like what actually gets people the best? How do they learn it the best? What's the best process? And what things can you say and how can you improve how that can stick and how they can learn? And so taking notes, I refer to that in some way as data, writing down things that you can lean into with data to help you make better choices moving forward. And what can you learn from it? What were mistakes? Like, I've learned, I don't have any examples off the top of my head, but I've learned there's a handful of things that you have to say at this time. You can't say at that time because it doesn't stick or it totally changes this thing. So there's timing on certain ground school lessons and certain sentences and certain things. And then learning, the basics of paramotor training is how can we make people, number one, make better decisions. That comes down to information, that comes down to decision making, that comes down to discipline, that comes down to protocols and checklists and all expectations and stuff like that. And number two, perform better.
Yeah.
Kiting, flying. How can we make them fly better? Get more flights in a class. I don't think flights in a class is actually the best way of analyzing performance.
Yeah.
Because you can have 25 flights, but they could be way different from a guy who had 10 who's actually flying way better than you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not as much about flight numbers. A lot of people just like, track flight numbers and increase your flight numbers as a class. I don't agree. Just like hours. No 2 hours are the same. 50 hours doesn't mean you're flying as good as an average 50-hour pilot. You could be flying as good as a 100-hour pilot or as bad as a 10-hour pilot.
Right.
And so more so it's like, okay, well, tracking things as best I can. How many blown launches do we have? How many times do people faceplant? How many times do we have butt launches? How many props do we break? How many times did it take for the first flight every single time?
Mm-hmm.
In the last class, it was like every first flight was first try. Or close to. I'd have to look at the data. And then it was like, okay, how many landings were on the feet? And how many times did it take to get them on their feet? And, so on. How soon could I back off of the radio? And how well did it do this? And it's like, okay, how do you analyze that without either filming everything and watching the video or taking notes? And so it's like, okay, take notes and write stuff down and look at it and review it and think about it. And Mike and I have a lot of powwows during the class, after the class of like, I felt like students didn't respond to this. And I feel like we could have done that a little bit better. And I don't know if that was the right decision for us to make. Here's the 3 reasons why. Here's how I could have made a better decision. Great. Okay, we'll make a better decision in the future. And some of that is one of the hardest things of running a paramotor class, at least has been for me, is deciding, when to fly people can be a bit of a tricky question. Whether to fly people in.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that's a little more simple. But like making those decisions, and what I really don't like doing is leaving opportunities on the table.
Yeah.
Students have given me so much time. In this case, 10 days. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. They've given me money and energy and effort and trust. It's like, okay, well, the last thing I want to do is have left a whole training session on the table, meaning we didn't go to the field because we thought it was going to be bad, and then it was good. And this happens, and it's going to happen again in the future, and I'm okay with it happening, in the sense that I'm okay that I'm going to make a bad call on the safe side, but I'm not okay with it being often. I want it to be as little as possible and as close to zero as possible. How can I understand the weather to the utmost degree to make sure that we always take our opportunities?
Yeah.
And how can I make sure that students are as prepared as soon as possible so we can capitalize on those opportunities? Because sometimes it's like, okay, well, we need to put students in the hang test, and we need to run through a first flight, and that's a timely thing. So I won't do it this morning, we'll do it this evening. Well, then we lose this evening because of something, or we get distracted and it doesn't happen. And then the next morning, students are ready for the next step. but we can't, because now we have to do this other thing, which takes priority before we can do the next thing, and then it loses an opportunity.
Right.
And so it's been about, greasing the gears and figuring out how to be as efficient as possible, and how to make sure that we don't leave opportunities on the table, and that we deliver the highest quality training experience in every way we possibly can, and make the best possible pilots that we can. And be as safe as possible. And that's still the overwhelming dominant thing. And when I have students, first thing I tell them is, well, not the first thing, like one of the things I tell them is, hey, I don't guarantee you're going to fly. Now that's for your safety.
Yeah.
I don't feel it's going to be safe, whether that's a weather call, a trust between you and me, or your skill's not there. I'm not going to do it. And I'd rather you leave class bummed or even frustrated that you didn't achieve the goal of flying than you leave class injured.
Yeah.
And students understand that, thankfully, and I don't have like a battle with that. But that's a commitment I've made to myself, even. And what's hard as a paramotor instructor sometimes is, I mean, you feel you owe it to them. Like, they paid you money for this. And look them in the eyes and tell them no.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, well, screw you, and I don't think you're making the right decision. And it's like, well, thankfully I haven't had those moments. But
Yeah.
it's hard to say no, and it's really hard to have a bunch of people from out of state. 87% of people, last time we pulled the statistics, are out-of-state students. So not very many people from Utah. And a lot of these people are traveling from far away. I mean, this last class we had upstate New York who drove, 2 Florida people, one of them drove, and Pennsylvania and Washington and like all around the country who traveled here. And it's like, it's really hard if we have weather that ruins that, and we're not able to get the flights, or we're not able to deliver. But just remembering to myself, like, hey, I'd rather them go home safe than them go home injured, really kind of makes that clear and easier for me in those moments where I'm trying to make a decision on whether to go for it or not, whether the weather's good or not, whether they're ready or not, to push the timeline, to speed it up, all those things. And that's just judgment calls. I broke my chair again, guys. I put too many holes.
Scoot it that way a little bit. There we go.
Oh, no, it's fine. Learning how to reduce the wrong calls is a thing you just get over time, practice. And my trick is data. My trick is information. My trick is writing it down. That improves how fast I learn, that it reduces how many mistakes I make.
Yeah.
And I have to perform just like the students have to perform. I have to make decisions.
Yeah.
And I don't know if other people do that. Maybe it's a militaristic thing that I do. And I had a special forces Green Beret dad who instilled, certain mindsets that I still have to this day. And one of those is that. And I'm also a big perfectionist. I really like to be as perfect as possible.
Right.
And part of that is like, okay, I'm really sinking in over here.
Scoot it that way. That way. Yeah, there we go. There you go.
Perfect. Now I can stretch my legs.
Yeah.
And part of the perfectionist is like refining the craft. And so, the big question you asked is like, what's going on in backcountry? That's always going on.
Yeah.
And that's going on with our beginner class. It's going on with our adventure classes. One of the noteworthy things within the last year that I feel like we've done is I teach wingovers so much better than I did a year ago.
How so?
I've really learned the steps to walk people through, the foundational skills that you need to learn first, and then the ways you step them into bigger energy.
Yeah.
Like it's become written out in notes, and I've learned because I've had students that have come through, and I've had the opportunity through repetition to get better at it. But I was adamant, like, even when Steve and Mike came through in February, I'm on a phone call with them. I'm like, I don't feel like I really understand how to teach someone wingovers yet. Now I feel like there's still room. I know there's still room. And I worked really hard at this last class to really think about it, take notes on how we can do better. But it's so much better than it's been. And so that's a big noteworthy thing. We have really good launching success, and we're starting to have really good landing success. Obviously, everybody lands. But what I mean is that, like last class, we had first landings on their feet and ever landing on their feet.
Wow.
Versus like butt land the first 10 and then they figure it out. No. How can I get them to land on their feet the first time?
Yeah.
And that's partly because like these dudes are 50, 60.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them face planting. I don't want them butt landing. I want it to work. And can I do a better job somewhere, somehow to increase that success rate?
And how did you do that?
Well, that's my secret.
That's for
That's for them.
that's for them to know.
A lot of my secrets have found their way to other schools. And that's fine. It's not like I'm really trying to hold on to the secrets. One of the ways that I'll tell you is through better briefing and debriefings.
Mm.
That's a militaristic thing when when you're at least a fighter jet pilot. As soon as you're done flying your flight, you go into the debrief room for hours.
Yeah.
And you analyze every second, every minute of your flight. And I've taken a somewhat tamer approach to that, but an approach of like, let's debrief as much as we possibly can.
Mm.
And let's watch all the video, and let's see some examples of good and bad, and let's talk through it all until you really understand it. And that's part of the briefing. That's part of the debriefing. Let's walk you through this. And how did we really achieve that success rate of landing on the feet like first try? And that might have just been those students. It might not be that in the future. So you never know. But it's little things. That's what I've learned, because the foundation, the core of what we do now and the core of what we did 3 years ago is the same core. Teaching how to kite, and then we're going to fly. It's the same thing. It's the little things.
Yeah.
Totally different.
Yeah.
And then some of the other things that we're working on, I'm really getting into creating products. I'm finding it really fun. I like it because I really enjoy making something that I feel like is actually better.
Yeah.
So chest packs was the first. I learned a lot on that. I made a lot of mistakes on that. I sold 300 of them or so in 2 months, which was super cool. I basically recouped my cost. I kind of walked into it thinking that it was going to cost me ignorance taxes, is what I heard a good term for it, which is I lost money and I didn't recoup it, and it didn't quite work, but I learned. And thankfully that wasn't the case. I recouped my investment. I got 1,000 of them, for goodness sakes, which was one of the mistakes. But
And I know you got a bunch more products coming. Can you talk about anything?
I do. I have a bunch more products coming, and I really am getting into the products thing two-part. First and most importantly, I really like it.
Yeah.
Like the paramotoring thing, obviously, I really like the paramotoring thing and teaching it. But there's something exciting and creative to creating products. Like, it's fun for me to make stuff that people like. The toggles showed me that.
Yeah.
I made the toggles. That was really the first product, but I shouldn't diss on the toggles. Toggles did well. Most importantly, people liked them.
Yeah.
That joy of seeing people really excited about something I made and like truly having a better experience, whatever it was that the product is going to be, because of that, man, that tickled something. And I was like, that's awesome. I like that. And then from a business standpoint, two parts. One, if I want Backcountry to grow, you grow in a couple of ways. You increase training volume, you sell more gear. And you either sell more stuff to new people or you sell more stuff to the same people.
Right.
So obviously we'll continue to scale and, increasing training volume, although I think we're fairly capped out on that. And all that stuff is as ethically and morally as we can. But also, like, how can I just sell all the people in paramotoring more stuff that they're actually going to benefit from? What are they buying? What are they using?
Yeah.
And how can I make something better that's going to serve them, that they're going to appreciate? And it's not just a money grab. Really, it's less of a money grab, because there's so much less money in selling 100 small accessories than there is in just running like a training class, honestly. And so it's partly satisfaction, it's partly that, and that's a avenue to grow Backcountry. And it's NTR. No, what is that? What it was? Non-training revenue, I think, is what the term I came up with. Meaning it's non-Trevor revenue, I think is what I said. It's not live or die on my physical back. The training is I have to show to the field. I have to teach the people.
Right.
And that's fine. I love it, and I don't want to stop. But also having stuff that can be, as I call, non-Trevor revenue, meaning someone else's is in charge of the shipping and logistics and all of that, and that can generate revenue and income separate from me. Is super exciting from a business standpoint, and I'm a big business guy. That's if you get to know me, you realize that's my thing.
Yeah.
And then the chest packs was also to be a separate business from Backcountry, which is why they're not called Backcountry. They don't have Backcountry's logo on it. Because, yeah, I want to make a bunch of stuff for paramotor pilots, but dudes, there's like 500 to a couple thousand paramotor pilots out there. So you're not going to sell that much stuff.
Right.
We sold 500 toggles in 2 years, and that's a lot of toggles. At least to me, it was a lot of toggles. Maybe there's way more pilots that don't have toggles, but maybe that was 10%, so 5,000 paramotor people. Anyways, math to make $10 bajillion selling stuff to paramotor pilots. It's just, there's not enough of them.
Yeah.
So to grow, not really my income, because I'm not a money guy, but more so to build a business that can become larger than me, that can become larger than Backcountry, that can really take to the next level. It's like, okay, well, it's got to separate. And it's not that I expected to make $100 million selling chest packs.
Yeah.
I didn't. But it was like, okay, can I sell something separate from paramotor? Challenge myself. Can I create a brand? Can I create a product? And we've sold more chest packs to non-paramotor pilots now than we've sold to paramotor pilots, which is really cool.
Wow.
And that's just
that is
exciting
cool.
to me. And from a business standpoint, I'm just really excited at the opportunity to grow and to expand. And that's fun.
Right.
And if all I ever am, from a business standpoint, is a guy who ran a paramotor school, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm very happy. I'm super grateful, and this is super cool that this is what I get to do. But
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to try.
Yeah.
To also build several other things.
Yeah.
I've got very ambitious goals.
Yeah. I'm out here all the time, seeing your training and seeing how you run things, and like it's obvious that you really love it.
Yeah.
And like you have a lot of passion for it, and you get a lot of joy from it for sure.
I do.
And the same thing with all the new products you're coming out with. You're telling me all the time about how excited you are, and I can just see the joy that stuff brings you. So yeah, it's really cool.
It does. Thank you.
Yeah.
It brings a lot of joy.
Yeah.
I got heated vests. I ordered a sample of a heated vest today.
I could use one of those about now.
Heated gloves I'm making, because I don't feel like any gloves are really great for paramotoring, and none of the heated gloves work that well on Amazon.
Yeah.
I'm making a flight deck chest pack.
Wow.
And I'm making another one, and it's
That'll
going to
be
have
cool.
a Backcountry logo, but it's going to stick and have Velcro and have your phone, a helmet bag, and flight suit, and
Yeah, I saw the flight suit. That's gonna be sweet.
flight suit. Just stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff. The answer is yes. As long as, in business, as long as you don't lose. You chase 2 rabbits, you catch none.
Mm-hmm.
So focus is important. So making sure that I always say it's an overlap product. It
Right.
has to overlap. It has to also correlate to paramotoring. I have to understand it. It has to work for me. That way I know how it works for others.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm having a good time.
Awesome.
That and I don't know. I didn't have anything with the end. I was hoping something profound would come to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This was a really great conversation. We should probably wrap it up. Our cameras are almost dead, and it's
Sweet.
super cold out here.
And it's time for us to get
And
food.
yeah, we haven't eaten in a long time. So, yeah, thank you very much for doing this and sitting down. And I can't wait for the next one. You're headed down to Salton Sea here in a few days. So you're
10 days.
gonna be down there all winter. So I'm gonna come down for a little while sometime this winter, and
Just a little while. I know you don't want to hang out with us.
so we'll shoot another podcast then.
The next
And
one, we gotta film one about you.
oh yeah, well, I might.
I know how much you love talking to him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as I said in my last podcast, that's part of the reason, why I wanted to start a podcast, because I'm not good at talking on camera. I'm not good at conversating really. And
That's true.
Yeah.
You are good at conversating. You have to know the person.
Yeah, that's true.
Because when I met you and you now, it's 2 different qualities.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah.
So give yourself
I
some
wanted to get
props.
I wanted to get better at it, and so that's part of the reason I wanted to start this. And yeah, I wanted to talk to you, and there's many other people I want to talk to, and
Yeah.
and I love hearing people's stories and stuff and their passion for flying and
Thank you
why
for
they.
sitting and listening.
Yeah.
I should have asked you some questions. I'm
No,
sorry. I was
no, it's all good.
selfish of me.
No, it's all good. But anyway, yeah, thank you for doing this again.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything you want to add?
No, I think that's it. I just want to keep making good paramotor pilots.
Yeah.
Have people make fun experiences and
Yeah.
safer pilots, and just keep teaching, keep doing the thing.
Yeah.
That's just what I want to do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool to watch. And
Thank you.
you make some incredible pilots. So
I
Yeah.
try.
Yeah.
I try.
yeah, it's great. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Awesome.
Okay. Sweet.